Making headlines, President Dr. Mohammad Muiz expresses relief following the announcement of a ceasefire agreement after 15 months of war in Gaza, Palestine. He also conveyed his appreciation to the countries that facilitated the accord. President Dr. Muiz highlights the Maldives Floating City project, and the Elections Commission of the Maldives informs. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abd Sattar. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz expresses relief following the announcement of a ceasefire agreement after 15 months of war in Gaza, Palestine. He also conveyed his appreciation to the countries that facilitated the accord. The Israeli offensive, which commenced on 7 October 2023, has inflicted severe hardships on Gaza, resulting in inhuman living conditions and the displacement of hundreds of thousands of residents. The majority of Gaza's 2.3 million inhabitants have been displaced, further exacerbating an already dire situation. In a social media post, President Dr. Muiz shared his relief over the ceasefire deal, stating that the Maldives expresses its profound appreciation to the countries that have facilitated the agreement. He urges the international community to ensure the continuation of the ceasefire, allowing the return home of those displaced and access to humanitarian assistance. The ceasefire agreement was reached with Qatar and Egypt acting as mediators between Israel and Hamas, which governs Gaza. Over the past 15 months, the Maldives has worked extensively with the international community, advocating for an end to Israeli aggression and the protection of Palestinian rights. President Dr. Muiz also used the opportunity to call on Israel to provide reparations to Palestine. He urged the international community to provide Palestine with the urgent support it needs to rebuild after the devastation caused by the Israeli aggression. In September 2024, President Dr. Muiz addressed the United Nations Security Council during a high-level, open debate on leadership for peace, united in respect of the UN Charter in search of a secure future. He highlighted the conditions facing the people of Palestine, especially in Gaza, citing that 36th UN Special Rapporteurs and experts referred to a genocide in the making in Gaza. He also noted that the International Court of Justice, ICJ, has found Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory illegal and that Israel must evacuate settlements and pay reparations to Palestinians. President Dr. Muiz further stressed that the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court had sought arrest warrants in relation to the war in Gaza and called on the UN Security Council members to support the process of justice and not to do anything to undermine it. He also urged the continuation of the rule of law and called on the UN to grant a permanent membership to Palestine. Despite the announcement of a ceasefire, the Israeli military has intensified attacks on the Gaza Strip, reportedly killing at least 40 Palestinians. Israel's war in Gaza has killed at least 46,707 Palestinians and wounded 110,265 since 7 October 2023. Palestinians in Gaza are celebrating after mediators confirmed the ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel, which is set to take effect on Sunday, 19th January. The truce aims to end a devastating period of conflict and offers a glimmer of hope for a more stable and peaceful future for the people of Gaza. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz toured the renowned Estonian Biobank as part of his official visit to Estonia. Upon arrival, the president was welcomed by Professor Lili Milani, head of the Estonian Biobank, professor at the University of Tartu Institute of Molecular and Cell Biology. During the visit, the President was briefed on the facility's operations and research activities. During his visit, the President signed the visitors' book at the facility. The University of Tartu Estonian Biobank is a world-class research infrastructure established in 2001. The database, consisting of over 200,000 participants, represents about 20% of Estonia's adult population, making it one of the most comprehensive national biobanks in Europe. The President is currently on an official visit to Estonia at the invitation of the President of Estonia, Dr. Alar Karis. President Dr. Muiz highlighted the Maldives Floating City project at the luncheon hosted by Irma Klaas, Mayor of Tartu, during his official visit to Estonia. The project garnered keen interest from Estonian officials, while discussions also explored Estonia's cultural, heritage and demographic challenges. The luncheon was also attended by the Rector of the University of Tartu, Dr. Tuomas Asar, and Kertu Saks, Director of the Estonian National Museum, Professor Lili Milani, Head of the Estonian Biobank, and other Tartu senior government officials. The luncheon provided an avenue for friendly discussions aimed at strengthening bilateral relations, fostering collaboration and sharing insights about the Maldivian and Estonian societies. During the luncheon, the Mayor of Tartu and other officials expressed a keen interest in the Maldives Floating City project. President Dr. Muiz elaborated on the initiative, detailing its sustainable design, the benefits it offers to Maldivians, and its potential as a model for climate-resilient urban development. The discussions also touched on Estonia's culture, including its rich history, iconic landmarks, population dynamics, and the challenges posed by an aging population. The President also highlighted areas where the Maldives seeks Estonia's support, particularly in Estonia's expertise in e-governance and digital innovation, to enhance public services, education, and renewable energy to realize the national development goals. Parliament has forwarded the names of four cabinet ministers to the Government Oversight Committee for review following President Dr. Mohamed Muiz's recent decision to implement a cabinet reshuffle. The nominations were submitted to the Government Oversight Committee during an extraordinary parliamentary session held on Thursday. President Dr. Muiz formally proposed the names of the four cabinet ministers for parliamentary consideration. The cabinet reshuffle had been executed on 26th December. The nominated ministers are as follows: Minister of Finance and Planning, Musa Zamir; Minister of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development, Dr. Ali Haider Ahmad; Minister of Agriculture and Animal Welfare, Dr. Mariam Maria; and Minister of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure, Dr. Abdullah Muttalib. In conjunction with the cabinet reshuffle, President Dr. Muiz has also restructured the responsibilities of several ministries. According to the President's office, the newly reorganized Ministry of Finance and Planning will now oversee land utilization, urban development, national development planning, and statistics, duties that were previously managed by the Ministry of Housing, Land and Urban Development. President Dr. Muiz also dissolved the Ministry of Housing, Land and Urban Development. In its place, the Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure has been established, replacing the former Ministry of Construction and Infrastructure. This newly formed ministry will now be responsible for executing social housing projects and formulating housing policies, including those related to social housing. The Parliament has approved the nominations of Amnat Sarahat Izzat and Muhammad Abdullah to the Maldives Broadcasting Commission, MBC. The MBC serves as the regulatory authority for broadcasting services in the country, with the mandate to ensure all broadcasting operations adhere strictly to governmental laws and regulations. Amnat Sarahat Izzat rejoins the Commission as a former member, while Muhammad Abdullah, the former Member of Parliament for the Ihawandu constituency, commences his new role. The nomination process was initiated when the President's office announced vacancies within the MBC. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz subsequently nominated 12 candidates ordered according to his preferences and submitted these names to the Parliament for deliberation. The Committee on Independent Institutions interviewed the nominees and subsequently presented its findings to an extraordinary parliamentary session on Thursday. The committee recommended 3 candidates for voting. Amnat Sarahat Izzat received parliamentary approval with 68 votes, while Muhammad Abdullah was endorsed with 58 votes. These appointments follow the expiration of terms of the former embassy president Mariam Wahida and commission member Ali Yusuf. Minister of Tourism Ibrahim Faisal says that a project is currently underway to develop harbours in 3 regions of the country, specifically for cruise ships. He made this announcement during an interview with the Raj Miyad program on PSM News. During the interview, Minister Faisal emphasized the coordinated efforts of the government and relevant agencies to increase the number of cruise ships visiting the Maldives. This initiative forms a key part of the broader strategy to enhance tourist arrivals, according to him. The administration has significant plans to enhance the number of cruise ships docking in the Maldives, said Minister Faisal, underlining the administration's commitment to this initiative. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz's administration has successfully addressed numerous challenges previously faced by cruise ships visiting the country, he added. Minister Faisal revealed that from 2024 until the present, over 600 tourists have traveled to the Maldives on cruise ships. Cruise liners encountered significant challenges when visiting the Maldives due to regulations enacted by the previous government. Maya, the Maldives Association of Yacht Agents, raised numerous complaints regarding this issue. They met with me. I listened to their concerns and subsequently revised the guidelines, stated Minister Faisal. The minister reiterated that in addition to efforts to increase the number of cruise ships visiting the Maldives, the government is also committed to developing the cruise ship tourism segment. Harbours dedicated to cruise ships are being developed in 3 regions of the country as part of these initiatives, he said. The Minister of Diva Language, Culture and Heritage, Adam Nasir Ibrahim, states that poetry plays a pivotal role in the development of a language speaking at a ceremony held to mark National Poets' Day. The minister noted that this year's Poets' Day is being celebrated by various agencies and media outlets. This reflects that President Dr. Mohammad Muiz's efforts to restore and uphold nationality in the Maldives is well received, he said. Noting that poetry plays an important role in the development of a language, Minister Adam Nasir said it also serves as an essential force for national unity and collective action. Throughout history, poetry has played a significant role in motivating the people of the Maldives, especially in cases such as cleaning campaigns, literacy efforts, and even a political engagement. In the past, poetry played an important role in encouraging people to participate in national cleanup initiatives. It also contributes to fostering a culture of literacy, and we continue to see seasonal poetry emerge every 5 years, he said. The Elections Commission of the Maldives ECM announces that starting from 15th February, applications to register with a political party can only be submitted to the government's digital identity system, EFAS. The ECM's decision follows concerns from the public and political parties alike regarding individuals being registered to political parties without their knowledge or consent. Speaking on a PSM News program, ECM member Hassan Zakaria highlighted that the issue of fraudulent registrations to political parties has persisted since the introduction of the multi-party system in the Maldives. Although various measures have been taken to prevent the occurrence over the years, a permanent solution has yet to be found. Zakaria said adopting the e-fast system to seek ECM services will resolve several challenges such as re-registrations and other issues. The issue of fraudulent registrations can also be effectively ended by submitting forms digitally through e-fast, he said. For those reasons, ECM has now decided to utilize e-fast for party registration requests, he added. Czech Republic's Prime Minister says that upgrades to boost the capacity of oil deliveries to the Czech Republic, where the TAL pipeline are complete, and in the country's need to import Russian crude.
The Czech Republic has worked to wean itself of Russian oil and gas since Russia's invasion on Ukraine in 2022. Already the country had no direct contracts with Russian gas suppliers. Now, the TAL pipeline has the capacity to meet all of its oil demand. It need no longer to rely on the Druzhba pipeline from the east, which previously delivered half of its supplies. The upgrades to the Transalpine TAL pipeline, running from Italy to Germany before feeding into a connector, double the capacity available for the Czech Republic to 8 million metric tons a year, enough for its annual needs. Test and the certification must be completed, but Fiala said the country could already rely on TAL should there be any disruption of Russian flows through the Druzhba pipeline that has supplied the Czech Republic for 6 decades. State pipeline company Mero has said it expects to start increasing oil shipments in the second quarter. The Czech Republic started diversifying supplies in 1995 by building the IKL pipeline connecting to TAL in southern Germany. But one of the two Czech refineries, both owned by Poland's Orlen, continued to process Russian oil. Czech Republic's finance minister said Orlen's Czech Unipetrol had indicated zero oil purchases from Russia in the second half of the year. Unipetrol said in a separate statement it would shift to new crude blends once the TAL upgrades had been tested and were fully operational, which is expected by the end of the first half. The Czech Republic's dependence on Russian fuel meant it was exempt from European Union sanctions on Russian pipeline oil. Even after a full switch from Russian suppliers, Mero Operations Director told that in November, the Druzhba pipeline would remain as a backup.
U.S. President Joe Biden and President-elect Donald Trump both claimed credit on Wednesday for a Gaza ceasefire for hostages deal that was months in the making but was helped across the line by a Trump envoy. His farewell address on Wednesday night from the Oval Office, Biden said the plan was developed and negotiated by his team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office. Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year. This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans.
Trump, in a social media post, was quick to claim a measure of credit for the breakthrough that came about months of stalled negotiations. He had repeatedly warned there would be hell to pay if a deal was not made by the time he takes office on Monday. He said that the epic ceasefire agreement would have only happened as a result of his victory in November, as it signaled to the entire world that his administration would seek peace and negotiate deals to ensure the safety of all Americans and allies. Trump had dispatched his Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff to join the negotiations in Doha, and Witkoff was there for the last 96 hours of talks leading up to the deal. A senior Biden administration official in a briefing with reporters credited Witkoff with helping deliver the deal, working alongside Biden's envoy Brett McCook, who had been in Doha since January 5th. Golf to new heights during his prime, embarked on a new challenge on Tuesday when he made his debut in the tech-infused indoor team-based the Golf League TGL he co-founded with fellow multiple majors champion Rory McIlroy.
Woods, 49, was not at his best on a night when his Jupiter Links Golf Club were thrashed 12-1 by Los Angeles Golf Club in front of a capacity crowd of 1,500 that included his mother, Clotilda Woods, and son, Charlie. 1 week after its launch, TGL rolled out the biggest name on its roster with hopes that Woods can help the sports cultivate a newer and younger audience. Woods arrived on the field of play sporting a red shirt and white pants without any introduction, but simply Eye of the Tiger blaring through the speakers. After missing the cut at the 2024 British Open last July, Woods had a back surgery in September and did not compete again until playing alongside his son during a 36-hole family event in December. Woods, playing alternate shot with his teammates Kevin Kisner and Max Homa, found the fairway with a 270-yard, 247 meters shot before splitting the hole with the Los Angeles Golf Club trio of Justin Rose, Colin Morikawa, and Sahith Theegala. TGL utilizes match play, a form of play where a player plays directly against an opponent in a head-to-head match instead of stroke play that is used in majors like the Masters and the PGA Tour Championship. Despite being on the wrong end of an eventual 12-1 route, the Jupiter Links team were able to have some fun at their own expense, with Kisner jokingly asking Woods' son if he wanted to play. Woods tied Rose on the opening hole of their 2-hole head-to-head singles clash, but dropped the second where he found water off the tee and then hit a bunker shot into the same hazard. Speaking to reporters after the match, Tiger Woods said it was too soon to determine what impact, if any, the massive wildfires that have ravaged parts of Los Angeles for the past week could have on the PGA Tour event he is scheduled to host next month in South California. Woods, speaking after making his TGL debut, said no decision has been made on whether to shift either the date of the tournament or its location from the Los Angeles area.
Researchers are gaining an unprecedented view into mice brains with the help of miniature VR headsets.
The VR headsets allows the mice to navigate obstacles and potential threats while researchers observe their brain activity. The headset developed by researchers at Cornell University in New York could help reveal how the brain navigates and controls memory function, giving researchers new insights into disorders such as Alzheimer's disease and its potential treatments. While trying to study the effect of a treatment of Alzheimer's that increases blood flow in tiny capillaries in the brain that has been shown to improve memory function in mice, postdoctoral researcher Dr. Matthew Isaacson decided to design a mouse-sized immersive VR setup.
Trying to understand what a certain treatment, which improves blood flow in the brain, how it is working to potentially improve spatial learning and memory. So in order to study what this treatment is doing, we need to use a very powerful microscope and head fix Alzheimer's disease mouse underneath the microscope, and then put it in a situation where it can navigate an environment so that we can assess its spatial learning and memory.
The mouse is positioned to stand on a treadmill, its head fixed in place while it peers into a pair of eyepieces. This setup allows researchers to fluorescently image the mouse's neural activity patterns. The most effective test was tricking a mouse into believing that an expanding dark blotch was approaching them.
When they're in the goggles, it's very immersive, and it seems like they can really be tricked into thinking that this is a realistic situation. Like, for example, we had an experiment where we showed a looming visual stimulus to an animal with the VR goggles. This is where, so you imagine like a dark spot that's way up in the sky and it's approaching you, it's getting larger and larger, and it looks like it's going to crash into you.
Isaacson said that the mice appear to enjoy taking in trials that earn them rewards of sugar water or peanut butter. The research team plans to develop the goggles aiming to create a lightweight mobile version suitable for larger rodents like tree shrews and rats. This advanced model would include a battery and onboard processing.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant time ahead.